Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to talk about some things that I did to overcome my camera shyness, my live shyness, and becoming a full-time content creator. So let's go ahead and get into it. If you are new to the channel, hello, my name is Jasmine and I'm so glad to have you. Okay, so the biggest thing I can say when it comes to creating content, being camera shy, live shy, or any kind of shyness is it's because you just don't have enough experience doing it. It's not because you suck at life or this isn't meant for you. You just don't have enough experience, and you have to be okay with sucking at something, but you won't suck at it forever. All right? Everything that you've ever done in life over and over and over and over again, you've gotten better at. Okay? There's nothing that you've been doing for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, a year, 5 years that you didn't gradually get better at. So I just need to make sure we're clear on that. It's okay to suck, but that doesn't mean you suck at life. You just suck right now, okay? But what I will say is, for me, if you know my story, I came from a 9 to 5 that I absolutely hated. Okay, I was miserable there. Miserable. I talk about that on live a lot. And so for me, I had two options. I could either keep doing what I'm doing, which is going to a job that I hate, or I can start this content creation thing. So I had that push. I had something to truly motivate me into getting comfortable with being on camera and not worrying about what people think of me, because the pain of staying at that job was far worse than just hitting record on a cell phone, right? I think a lot of times you have to ask yourself, why are you doing this? And your why for wanting to be a content creator, for wanting to go live, for wanting to do anything, that why has to be deep. Because if it's not more than, oh, just because I want attention, then you're not going to follow it through, and you're not even going to build up the courage and the strength to even start recording, because you don't really want it bad enough. Okay, I really believe that. So people will say they really want it, but you have to be at your breaking point to really get to the point where you're just going to suck it up and do it regardless, even though you're nervous, even though you're shy, just because not doing it is far worse than doing it. So once you reach that point, I feel like you're going to snap right out of your camera shyness, live shyness, whatever shyness, right? The next thing, and I was actually going to address this in another video. So in case you did not know, I am an OnlyFans creator. I've been an OnlyFans creator for 6 years. That I started during COVID. And so, you know, whatever people want to think about OnlyFans is their opinion. I always ask myself if I should bring up OnlyFans on the I Am Coach Jazz platform, but I'm not ashamed of it. It changed my whole life, you know, so, you know, it is what it is. If you either love it or you hate it. But anyways, being an OnlyFans creator, and I'm a solo creator, but being an OnlyFans creator, you're out there. You know, you get to choose what you want to show on your page. It's your business, right? There's no right or wrong. It's whatever you're most comfortable with. And so I personally was comfortable with nudes, but that was such a shock factor. Like when my family found out, when my friends found out, because back then OnlyFans was relatively new, right? So all people knew of OnlyFans was like porn, right? And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. And so that's where my family and my friends' minds went. Like it just went all the way left. It just went to the craziest genre you could think of. That's where their mind went with it, okay? And so with that came a lot of backlash. And, you know, at that time, I used to really care what people thought of me. I used to always want external validation. I used to always want people to like me. And so when I started getting negative backlash from people, and at that time I cared what people thought, it broke my heart. It really did. But then it made me ask myself, okay, why do I care so much about what these people think of me, when they knew how miserable I was at my 9 to 5? Like they knew I was drinking every day. They knew I was crying every day. They knew I was depressed. They knew all of the things. They knew all of the things, okay? These are people who were very close to me. So they knew my regular routine. They knew how my energy was. They knew that's what I'm saying. If y'all saw how I looked back then versus now, complete glow up. But they just knew what I was going through at that job, right? They knew all of the write-ups I had. And it was one of those jobs that never fired people. So even though I got written up all the time, I still had a job, which is a blessing. But they just knew. They knew all of the things. And they knew how miserable I was. And despite knowing that, because these are people in my real close personal life, they still chose to call me all these names and to really try to make me feel bad about myself for doing something that, one, has nothing to do with them, right? And two, not one person said, if this is going to make you happy, then I'm happy for you. Not one person said that. Not one person was like, I don't really know too much, but I know you was miserable at that job, so, I'm proud of you for taking that leap. Nobody said that. Nobody said that. And so it made me realize how stupid it is to care so much about what people are going to think of you when it comes to you creating your content, starting your business or anything. And they're not paying their bills, and they're not even, at least in the end, this is just my experience. Everyone's experience is different, but no support at that time. No support at that time. So when you come to that epiphany, you just start to realize, like, okay, so then there's really no reason to be shy because they wasn't with it anyways, right? So that got me out of it. Having that moment, and this lasted a while. This is when I actually started going to counseling during this time, because I told you I always needed friends and people to like me. And so when I lost that, like when people started talking shit about me, calling me all types of names, that's when I hit my, like, quote unquote rock bottom. Like, I really felt by myself. And so that's when I started going to counseling because of that, right? And it was a whole transformation within itself. But I say all of this to say, you have to realize when you're trying to create content or whatever, like, the people that you're worried about, they're not worth your happiness. And it doesn't matter how close they are to you, whether it's your friends or your family. Like, at the end of the day, if you come from a background like mine, as far as like hating your job or just wanting something better for your life, having purpose, fulfillment, whatever you want to call it, why are you letting opinions of others stop you from getting that? Especially when you're not hurting anybody, especially when they're not paying your bills. You start to realize how silly it sounds to care what other people think of you, And so that was my wake-up call, and that's what got me out of it. It was that. And so that's why I don't regret anything that happens in life, because when you have a clear head, you're more grounded and you can reflect back on things. You start to see why things happened the way they happened, right? And why it needed to happen so that you could get to where you wanted to be. Because I feel like if I didn't have that, if I didn't have people calling me names and stuff and making me feel bad about that decision, then I might not be here being able to record content and only get 5 people to watch the video and keep going, right? I might not be here. So I kind of needed that in order to get more stronger mentally. Yeah. Okay. Another thing, when it comes to getting out of your camera shyness, live shyness, I would say to really knowing, you don't have to know exactly what kind of content you want to create, but you have to know the direction of it, right? So when I started I Am Coach Jazz, even though the formatting of my content has changed, because I used to do car videos, like driving in my car and talking to you guys, so the structure of it might have changed, but the messaging has always been the same. Being your highest version, letting go of your insecurities, showing up even when you don't feel like it, walking in your purpose, building your business, like that messaging has always stayed the same, because I knew what I wanted my brand, I Am Coach Jazz, to be, right? I was clear on that. You have to be clear on what it is that you want for your brand, for your content, and things are going to change, like, because you change. Nobody stays the same, right? But the core of it always does. But if you don't really know what that is, then it's going to be hard for you to create content, at least consistently, because you don't even really know what direction you're going. Now, when you're first starting, there's nothing wrong with creating all different types of content, because you're just trying to figure out where you fit or what you think you might like versus what you actually like. I think everyone has to go through that. I know I did. But once you, continue on that journey and you do figure out what it is that you want to help people with, it's easier to just record the video, because you know that your message is really important. You know that what you're talking about, you're going to be able to help somebody. Like, there's somebody out there who's struggling with that exact thing that you're talking about, right? And because I have that, I'm able to show up consistently doing this, even if I'm not getting the results that I want in the time frame in which I feel like I'm worthy of them, right? Or I should say entitled to them. But the messaging is key. Okay, so really take time to think about it and then actually do it. You can't just think you want to do weight loss and then you start doing it, you're like, nah. See, and that's the thing. Like, I thought I wanted to do weight loss and fitness because I lost 100 pounds and I was documenting that on social. So why not make that the full brand? But I realized, like, when I started really trying to talk about weight loss and fitness, that's not really something I want to talk about all day. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I love going to the gym. Yes, I love lifting weights. Yes, I'm a very active person. Yes, I do eat healthy most of the time, right? Most of the time. But that's not something that I want to talk about all day. You know, it's not something that I don't really have, me personally, I don't have the desire to make 20 videos talking about protein and carbs, right? That's not for me. So, you know, after doing that for a little while, I was like, okay, well, that's what I'll do. And it sucks because I did grow such a large following on that YouTube channel. And I know that most of them on that channel is there for weight loss, fitness, mindset too, but mostly weight loss and fitness. And that's just not where my heart is. So really figure out what it is that you want to help people with. And then once you figure that out, and you're only going to figure that out through trial and error. But once you do figure that out, I promise you, it's going to be so much easier for you to be consistent, posting and showing up and not caring what people think, because you know your messaging is really strong and you know it's going to help somebody. And then last but not least, I wasn't going to add this, but I'll add it. Building your confidence. See, your confidence is who you think you are. So I say this on live a lot. If you are always making promises to yourself and not following through with them, you are slowly eroding your confidence, because you're showing yourself that you're not even worthy of the time it takes to do X, Y, Z. That's what you're subconsciously telling yourself. I think a lot of times we're not self-aware, so we don't really know what our actions are showing us, but that's what's going on. That's what you were doing. Whether you knew that or not, that's what you're doing. And so it gets to the point where you've done that so much that you no longer even believe that you're capable of it. You say, oh, I can do this, but your actions are showing something else, because time and time again, you keep giving up on yourself. And for me, starting I Am Coach Jazz later on in my journey, because I Am Chocolate Mini was the first brand I built. So that was 6 years ago. And, you know, having the confidence to build I Am Coach Jazz, that came from showing up for myself in the past. Finally getting to a point where I'd quit my job that I absolutely hated and make content creation work. Like, I made it work. You know, I believe you can make anything work if you put in the hours, right? Some people aren't willing to do that. But I made it work. The odds were against me. I think I heard a statistic where it said, I can't remember the percentage, but most OnlyFans creators make $200 a month. And I superseded that. So the odds were already against me. So I already proved to myself I can do that, right? I lost 100 pounds, even though for years I had failed on my weight loss journeys. I was on so many. I did so many cleanses. I did so many different diets. I did so many different fastings, right? And I failed at each one. But then getting to a point where I did it again, but I hired a personal trainer this go around, and I lost 100 pounds. And I've kept it off for years. I had that to show myself, okay, well, I can do that. Because most people gain their weight back, right? Then, and I did it the hard way. All weight loss is hard, honestly, but I didn't have any surgeries or, you know, I literally just did it the old-fashioned way, you know, and some weeks I would only lose like a half a pound. Some weeks I wouldn't lose any weight, and I still kept going. So I had that. If you've gone on a weight loss journey, you already know how hard that is. So I proved that to myself, right? I was able to grow my socials, right? I grew my YouTube channel, the Weight Loss and Fitness channel. I think there's like 18,000 subscribers on there. It's crazy because I never in a million years thought I would have 18,000 subscribers. I didn't even think I could ever get to 5,000. I got to 18,000. So, you know, I had that. So I've proven to myself over the years, especially these past 6 years on my self-development journey, of how capable I am of doing anything that I put my mind to. So because I had all that proof stacked upon itself, I knew that when I launched I Am Coach Jazz back in last year, 2025, January 2025, I knew like, okay, I can do this too. I can do this too. Why would this be different than anything else I've done? I've proven to myself that I know how to stick with something for a very long period of time, even if you don't get the results right then. I did that with weight loss, right? So if you don't have confidence in yourself, you're not going to see yourself in that light. You're going to see yourself in a light of, well, I'm not good at this, or I can't do this, or this is way out of my lane, so I shouldn't do it at all. But again, that only comes because you keep breaking the promises that you make to yourself. So whatever it is you told yourself you're going to do, it's time to start. And it doesn't have to be big. It could be something as far as you say you're going to make your bed every day. Do that. I do that too. Like, so it's the little things, it's the little habits that get you to your overall goal. So as you start just with little stuff, like making your bed every day, or doing your hair every day, doing your makeup every day, even on days you're not going anywhere. I'm just throwing out ideas, right? Take what you want, leave what you don't. But if you just start doing that over the course of 2 weeks, you're already going to start to feel a little better about yourself. Over the course of a month, then you're going to feel even more better about yourself. 6 months, a year, 5 years, girl, 5 years, unrecognizable. You will literally be unrecognizable. I cannot make this up. And I say that all the time. I wish I was making content in my 20s so y'all could see. Because I be reminded on Facebook. You know how Facebook will send you. It'll be like, 12 years ago, you were doing this. And you're like, oh God, why did I have that hair? Why was I wearing that? Why was I acting like that? Who told me this was okay? You know what I mean? You have like really cringe moments. And I think those moments are actually beautiful because it just shows how far along you've come. It'd be scary if you saw something from 12 years ago and you still do that today. Unless it's like a positive thing. Like maybe you always worked out. That's different, right? But if you know there were things that you shouldn't have been doing and you was doing it, and then you look back 12 years later and you're still doing it, girl, not okay, right? That's not okay. So, you know, I think there's beauty in that, but just keeping the promises that you make to yourself, because as you start doing that, you become more confident in yourself to where you gonna post a video and not care about angles. You're not gonna care about lighting. Like when I first started, my content was trash. Okay, I didn't even have a ring light. And then I got a ring light, but I actually use a different type of ring light now. And I feel like this lighting looks better than anything I've ever done before, right? I had a very old iPhone when I first started. Let me see. COVID was 2020. I think I had the iPhone 9. So I was several generations behind, I think, because I think they're on 12. So I was already several generations behind, and I was trying to use front-face camera, and we all know, well, at least if you're in your 30s, you know, front-facing camera was not what it used to be today. And then back then there weren't filters. Like I had none of that, okay? So I'm just here. I'm just here looking busted, crusted, and disgusted, but I'm gonna get it done. Because staying at that 9 to 5, oh no. Oh no. Oh no. So I made it do what it do, right? But it doesn't have to be perfect. What you guys see today, I've been doing this for years, so now I know what lighting works best for my skin. I invested in a camera. Things have changed, as it should. You shouldn't stay the same, but everyone's just starts. So you just gotta start, or just keep doing what you're doing. The choice is always yours. Leave a comment down below. Let me know which one of these tips is going to help you the most. And make sure you guys check out this video right here. YouTube wants you to watch this video right here. Yes, watch it, okay? Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.